Hello, my lovely friends. Today, we are doing something a bit different. Dorky cosplay Ellie is being replaced by serious teacher Ellie. Today, I'm going to be giving you a crash course into Edwardian Underthings. So grab a notepad and a pen, take some notes, because there is going to be a quiz at the end of today's lesson. Alrighty, let's begin. Now, let's talk about why I suddenly care so much about Edwardian fashion. Well, a few months ago, I was watching one of my favorite movies, Howl's Moving Castle, and I found myself curious as to when this movie took place. Yes, I am aware it is a fictional movie, however, the world is so similar to ours that it had to be based on some sort of time period. A quick Google search found that based on the technology shown in the movie, we can assume that it's based in the early 20th century, which places us smack dab in the Edwardian Era, which took place from 1901 through 1914. Okay, so just a quick side note that the Art of Howl's Moving Castle notes that the staff traveled to France to study the scenery for the film. So technically, Howl's Moving Castle takes place in France. The early 20th century in France was a period called La Belle Époque, and this is a much longer and more broad period of time than the Edwardian Era, and I wanted to really be able to hone in my studies on a specific time period. Plus, it kind of seems that all Western fashion at the time looked the same. So, yeah. The Edwardian Era was a time remembered with nostalgia. It was a short period of peace before the start of World War I in 1914. It was an era of leisure and luxury. Of course, for the upper class, the lower classes were still fighting for workers' rights and women's suffrage. Now, of course, this leisure and luxury was reflected in the rapidly changing styles of the time. Edwardian fashion is characterized by the S-bend corset, the pigeon breast form, high collars, loads of ruffles and lace, and of course, huge hats. Here's a peek at a few of the crowd scenes found in Howl's Moving Castle. Here you can see the large hats, high collars, and some frilly ruffles. While these aren't picture-perfect recreations of Edwardian fashion, they are close enough for me to feel confident that this film was at least inspired by this era of fashion. Now, before we deep dive into Underthings, let me say that I am by no means a fashion historian. I truly enjoy learning about fashions of the past, but I am no expert. So please take everything I say with a large grain of salt. And do your own research in addition to this video if you want to learn more about this era. Alright, now let's talk undies. The foundation to any historical costume is in the undergarments. While today we might just slap on a pair of underwear and a bra and call it a day, the process was much different in the 1900s. Before donning her outerwear, an Edwardian woman would already have 5 to 6 layers on. First is a chemise. A chemise is a loose-fitting dress made of a lightweight cotton. In a time when clothes could not be washed as frequently, it was worn to keep sweat and oils off your outerwear. Fun fact, the chemise has been around since the Middle Ages, and some people still wear them today, though their purpose and style has greatly changed. After the chemise would come the open drawers. Open drawers are visually very similar to what we would call bloomers today. They were again made of a lightweight cotton. The most interesting thing about these drawers is that the crotch seam was left open. While this might seem crazy to us, it's important to remember how many layers these women were wearing and how long it would take for them to take them off and put them back on again. We're talking hour-long bathroom breaks at least. The open drawers got rid of the need to remove all of your layers in order to use the restroom. As the years progressed, these two garments were combined into one, called the combination. Combinations joined the chemise and drawers at the waist and decreased the amount of bulk around the waist. Personally, I really love the silhouette of the combination. They can be so cute. This example from the Met is one of my favorites. It's just so elegant. But they can also look really cute and playful while being less frivolous, like this simple cotton set. Once dressed in either a combination or a set of chemise and drawers, it was time for the corset. The fashionable corset of the early 1900s was called the S-bend corset, or the health corset. S-bend corsets create a straight front by pushing the pelvis back and the rear out. At the time, these corsets were seen as healthier than the Victorian corset, as it placed less pressure on the abdomen. Research has shown that this style of corset was actually worse for the wearer than the Victorian corset. But live and learn, right? However unhealthy they were, they created a beautiful silhouette with a tiny waist, low bust, and ample hips. These corsets often came with built-in suspenders to stop ladies' stockings from rolling down. This style of corset was often made with one couture layer and one silk layer. Oftentimes, Edwardian women would pad out their corsets to create an even more exaggerated shape. Bust and hip improvers, like all their undergarments, were also made of cotton and would be worn under the corset. Now that we have created an Edwardian silhouette, our final layers are used to smooth out the silhouette and get rid of any lumps or bumps that might come from our other underlayers. First, the corset cover. Corset covers varied in complexity. Some had layers and layers of ruffles to help poof out the breast shape, while others were very simple and clung to the corset. Again, made from cotton, the main purpose of the corset cover was to protect the corset. And last but not least are petticoats. In general, an Edwardian woman would wear at least 2 petticoats of varying length and ruffle. Some petticoats were just as beautiful as outerwear, with layers of lace and ruffles. While beautiful, their main purpose was to give body to the outer skirt. So, can we take a moment to be thankful for the modern silhouette and how easy it is to get dressed today compared to back then? I mean, getting dressed almost seems like a full-time job. In fact, some upper-class women even had dressers on staff whose entire job was to help them get dressed. Now, as odd as it is to say that my knowledge begins and ends at undergarments, it's pretty much the truth. Edwardian fashion was so rapidly changing, and there were so many different garments for different occasions that there's no way that I could mention all of them, or even most of them, in this video. And honestly, my research into this era is very specific to what I needed for my Sophie costume. So once I found what I was looking for, I didn't look much further. However, the historical costuming community is both large and extraordinarily knowledgeable. If you want to know more about this subject, I suggest looking around at blogs and YouTube channels. Some of my favorites include Bernadette Banner, a super sassy and hilarious historical costumer, SoHistorically.com by Lena. Lena is so knowledgeable and has many wonderful articles on the Edwardian era. And also Katja from WithMyHandsDream.com, who is an incredibly charming historical costumer with lots of tips and hands-on photos. I hope that this video has made you excited to learn more about the Edwardian era, because there's sure to be more of it on this channel. I've already started building my historically inspired Sophie, and I cannot wait to show you everything that I'm making. If you want to be one of the first people to see my progress, be sure to hop over to my Patreon, where I've already started sharing some progress photos. Alright, so at the start of this video, I said there was going to be a quiz. So here is the question for today. How many layers were Edwardian women generally wearing underneath their outer garments? Go ahead and leave the answer to that in the comments below, and I will let you know how you did. Okay everyone, well thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, and of course leave your answer to the quiz in the comments below, and I will see you next week. Until then, be sure to keep sewing, stay positive, and have fun, and I will see you later. Okay, bye!